The program you're about to see is made possible through the financial support of people like you. We hope you'll join the thousands of people who make our programming possible. Become an In the Life member by clicking on the Donate Now button on our website. On February 14, 2010, the Ugandan Unitarian Universalist Church took a stand in Kampala against legislation proposed by the Ugandan Parliament that would impose the death penalty on serial offenders of homosexual acts. 3 days later, Pastor Martin Sempa held a demonstration supporting the 2009 Anti-Homosexuality Act.
So we are going to pray for Honorable Bahati for 3 minutes. And then after that we are going to take another 3 minutes just to weep together for the children and the people of Africa and the rest of the world. That God will redeem us from this evil of Sodom.
You cannot separate Christianity, like in Uganda, with politics, because they're almost the same.
Deliver us from evil. Deliver us from Sodom.
There's no separation between church and state.
The important thing to remember about what's going on in Uganda is all these right-wing fundamentalists in America that have been trying so hard to pass their agenda and persecute us here, they haven't been able to. So they're exporting this agenda overseas.
On the morning of February 2, 2010, a Ugandan man seeking asylum in the U.S. spoke at a press conference for the American Prayer Hour, an LGBT inclusive alternative to the National Prayer Breakfast.
I feel so uncomfortable when I stand here before such good people, great people, and hide myself, hide my face, hide my identity. It hurts. I'm Moses, I'm a Ugandan. I am gay and...
So I have actually a lot of fear. Fear, of course, for my life and fear of exposure.
2 days later, government officials from around the world attended the National Prayer Breakfast, organized by the Fellowship Foundation.
Each year at the National Prayer Breakfast, all these politicians, the president, senators, members of Congress, world leaders, business leaders, they go to the National Prayer Breakfast. They think it's some benign event. They have no idea that the group behind this is this radical, dangerous organization.
For too long, the American people have been in the dark about the Fellowship Foundation, more commonly known in Washington as the Family.
The Family is the oldest and arguably most influential Christian conservative organization in Washington, and one of the very few that's really international. I lived with the group for about a month, and then after that spent literally years researching it in archives and interviewing people and trying to sort of put together the whole history and chronology of this organization.
The Family is not typical of American evangelism. It's a very elite group. It's a network. Its primary focus appears to be foreign policy.
Jeff Charlotte's research reveals the Family's influence on Uganda.
The dictator of Uganda, Museveni, has been the Family's key man for Africa since 1986, and he's their guy. They began in the early 90s building a broader base, and I think they were sort of the vanguard of the great sort of American evangelical intervention in Uganda. They helped set up a Ugandan National Prayer Breakfast. They run a parliamentary prayer group, and the men who run that are all family members, and these are the guys who are responsible for the 2009 Anti-Homosexuality Act.
Homosexuality is illegal in Uganda. It has been illegal since the colonial times. Before this bill came out, homosexuality was illegal and it was punishable by 14 years in jail.
If this bill were actually to become law in Uganda, Consensual conduct would be subjected to life imprisonment with the possibility of the death penalty for certain homosexual acts or repeat offending acts. All Ugandans would be required to report any suspected homosexual to the police within 24 hours. It would criminalize any discussion, expression, any outreach to LGBT communities, including health-related outreach.
I grew up fighting all these feelings in me because any slight mistake, you find yourself in jail. Any slight mistake, your family rejects you, excommunicates you.
I remember when I was raped by this policeman, there was no way I could go to a doctor or...
I remember spending a whole week without eating, in bed, terrified.
I knew if I did told the health workers, they would of course not give me help.
It was so traumatic.